Hey kids, it is the 23rd, 31 days of Halloween. This Sunday here. This is Sunday. I decided to watch a movie I've been wanting to watch for the last 50 years. Yes, in other words, I'm old as fuck. I remember seeing a commercial for Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. He actually refers to her as, or her, as Sister Hyde. He's writing a journal, and every once in a while there's voiceover, and he does refer to her as Sister Hyde. That's what they tell people. Honestly, I was surprised that she's not in it a lot. Let's run through the cast. Henry Jekyll is played by Ralph Bates, who's a very good actor. When we think of Hammer, we don't necessarily, unless you're really into Hammer, you don't really necessarily think of Ralph Bates. You think of Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, and probably, a few of the women. Quite a few of the women. Henry Jekyll is Ralph Bates. Sister Hyde, but actually, she has no first name. The lovely Martine Beswick. I think that's how you pronounce the name. Professor Robertson, who's a friend of Jekyll, Gerald Sim. He's older. He's middle-aged at this point, but he's a horn dog. He loves the ladies. We start out kind of like a flash forward in the story to basically Jack the Ripper killing a prostitute, and blood splattering on a poster warning people that there's a killer on the loose in Whitechapel. What Jekyll is trying to do is prolong life, and he comes up with the notion that female hormones will do that. I'm not sure if he's suggesting women live longer. I think they do, on average, than men. But he does an experiment, and Professor Robertson is there, where he feeds his concoction to a fly. And the fly should be dead after a while. It's in this big jar. For whatever reason, Jekyll ends up, he's working a lot and he's barely sleeping. He ends up sleeping for 3 days, and the fly is still alive. And Professor Robertson notices that it's a female because it laid eggs, and Jekyll was adamant, no, that's a male fly. So he ends up finding out that it changed the sex of the fly. To obtain the hormones, he starts employing, there's a shady guy at the morgue who allows him to do a little surgery on particular women of a certain age. And then that guy suggests, and here's another historical situation introduced to the story, these two guys named Burke and Hare. And of course, we know the story, Burke and Hare. They tend to just right off the bat kill their victims, not grave rob. Eventually, they get founded out, and mob justice. They ended up getting hanged and thrown in a vat of lye. And so Jekyll ends up eventually having to, for betterment of the mankind, to start killing young women himself. He does transform. This is the thing. It transformed early in the movie, relatively early, and then it takes forever. I mean, it felt forever for her to make a comeback because he has to procure the hormones. What ends up happening, there's sort of like a struggle between Hyde and Jekyll. Jekyll is presented kind of like a weak man. He's very shy with this young woman, Susan Spencer. Her brother, let's see if I can find his name, Howard, played by Lewis Flander. He has a thing for Sister Hyde. But Susan has a thing for Jekyll. And, excuse me, and Jekyll is actually quite shy with her. Actually, their first meeting, he doesn't even say anything. He just sort of scurries away. And this is kind of a theme. I'm not sure if this is anti-woman or pro-woman, or maybe a mix of both. Because the woman is a monster, but so is Jekyll. There's the interest between the two Spencer children and the one individual. And it's very interesting. There's a scene a couple scenes actually, that you could say it's kind of non-binary. He's Jekyll, obviously, and he comes out of a clothing store for women. And he's not Jekyll, he's actually Hyde. And she bumps into Howard Spencer. And because it's him, and she likes him too. It becomes obvious to the audience that she is not Hyde. That is it might actually be Ralph Bates, but it's actually Hyde in there. I don't think it goes back to Jekyll during that scene at all, but there's a scene later on, a violent scene. Sister Hyde is attacking somebody, and they keep on going back and forth between the two actors. It's either Bestwick or it's Bates, and like a wig and such. So what do we have here? We have this work of fiction, Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde in this case, Jack the Ripper. Basically, Jekyll turns into Jack the Ripper. That's where his killing happens. And there's two siblings who are into both versions of this person. And complications ensue. Yeah, this is pretty good. I like the movie. It's a rare... there has to be a ton of movies from Hammer that I have not seen, and this is one of them. And I've been interested, honestly, I'm not even exaggerating, interested in seeing this for 50 years. And I finally got to see it, so I'm quite happy about that. Well, this is the end of the 23rd 31 days of Halloween. So, until tomorrow, stay safe. Let us have a good time.